Hey everybody! Don't Hug Me I'm Scared is a web series and TV show, the source of nightmares for many, a beautiful display of puppet work, and my favorite thing to ever come out from the internet. It presents itself as a kids' puppet show, before turning dark, and each episode follows, with some variation, the formula of a teacher coming to educate the three protagonists about a given topic, before things go wrong. And given the TV show recent release on Dropout, and today's very special date, what a better time to rank every episode of the web series and TV season. When discussing this series, a lot of people focus on the theories, on explaining it, on unraveling the mysteries and so on, to the point where I feel creators often forget talking about how the show makes them feel, what they interpret from it beyond the possible plot lore, how the themes spark ideas in them. So just like all of my rankings, my focus will be on those things. DHMIS is an incredible piece of media, so funny, scary, filled with charm, and I just want an excuse to gush about it really. And as a little bonus, I'll be ranking every song at the end of the video. So let's just get on with it, starting with number 12.
My heart. I loved her.
The weakest episode of the whole series to me is kind of obvious, and that is the third one, or the love episode. This one is all about love, and finding the one who is right for you, with this butterfly teaching Yellow Guy all about it. Right off the bat, my biggest issue with it is that the horror is too literal. The teacher and his companions end up being a literal cult, a thing that is generally agreed to be bad, and a usual villain for horror to use. Yes, it has the subversion of the whole show, with kid-friendly puppets that presents as nice and that eventually turn evil, but having them be such a straightforward evil thing makes it lose some of the effectiveness of the unexpected horror. Out of the 6 web series episodes, I always found this one to be the least creepy, even as a teen. Because of the literality of it, the critique is not as effective. Oh, the view of love, specifically the monogamous traditional Christian view of love, is like a cult. I mean, yeah, it is an interesting and I would say somewhat correct observation, but it's not delivered as subtly or as interestingly as the social analysis the rest of the series does. In a more pragmatic sense, I also think getting the characters out of the house doesn't work that well, especially in context with the whole series. It just feels out of place, and unlike another episode which also gets them out of the house, this one doesn't do much with that idea, beyond the episode taking place in a different setting. Which is fine, it's just that it doesn't fit that well with the other episodes. I think separating the three of them for basically the entirety of it isn't the best idea either. This isn't a very critical take to be honest, but I like seeing them together and having them all experience the teachings, even if they don't interact much directly with one another, especially during the web series. With all of that being said, I still really like this one. I have my issues with it, but it is very good. All of the charm is there as always, the puppetry and sets are incredible, the song is a genuine banger, and this is the first one that was truly funny. The Michael song that doesn't have any teachings is one of the most hilarious jokes both in the web series and in the TV show, and pretty much every line of dialogue out of Doug's mouth is golden.
And we have finished the chicken picnic.
The cultists also get a lot of funny moments, may it be some silly visual gag, an off-putting line of dialogue, or some of the butterfly's hysterical lyrics.
And do you ever feel like life's unfair? 'Cause everybody hates you and no one cares.
I know I may have come off as overly negative about this one, but I do truly like it a lot, despite some of its flaws. Good episode, 7.5 out of 10. Also, I'm not giving numbers to any other episode, I'm just saying it for this one to make it very clear that I think it's good. Okay, moving on.
That's only the beginning of the story, you worm!
Episode 4 of the TV show is Friendship, and it centers on the poor way Red and Doug sometimes treat Yellow Guy, which leads to this worm teacher coming to try and educate them on proper ways of being a friend. This one is a bit hard to evaluate for me, because there is a lot of individual aspects about it that I love. Calling the computer being back fills my heart, and all of the online jokes are great. The animation for the Brain Friends section is so unique, and all of that sequence genuinely fills me with so much tenderness. These guys are adorable. The ending is spectacular, with a fight that goes down as one of my favorite moments of the whole show. And there's a ton of hilarious bits throughout the episode.
He's some sort of freelancer.
Freelancers deserve to die.
That's the password. Rat Eyes.
Your maiden name, of course.
The worm in my brain tells me I don't have the body type to pull off wearing denim, but I just tell it to pipe down.
It even has one of the most memorable teacher characters of the whole show in Warren the Eagle, who I'll talk about more later, don't worry. However, ever since my first watch, this episode has felt disjointed and a bit all over the place. There are a lot of ideas being thrown around, and even though many of them work in a vacuum, they create an incoherent whole. Even the plot itself doesn't follow its own internal logic. Yellow first retreats into his own mind because his friends are being mean to him, right? So they send a worm in to pull him out. The worm only makes things worse, and after they remove it, Yellow goes back to normal. But like, he didn't have a worm in his brain in the first place. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining because this is silly, or God forbid, unrealistic. I'm not that stupid, but the episode doesn't respect its own narrative. The plot is barely there, feeling more like a bunch of loosely connected scenes. Again, I'm not complaining about the episode being absurd or silly, I love that about this show. But the other episodes do have their own logical through lines, even if they are ridiculous, surreal, and absurdist. Same issue goes for its themes. This one is about friendship, obviously, but many of its ideas about that topic feel a bit on the air. There is one aspect to this episode that does give it some coherence, and does allow it to explore its theme of friendship in an interesting way, and that is Warren. God, I love how much I hate this little bastard. But you know who hates him even more? The episode itself. The contempt the show has for Warren is unparalleled and extremely entertaining to watch. Warren is the perfect representation of people who are so unable to look past themselves that they criticize people for the shit they do, always portraying themselves as the victims even when they aren't. His backstory song, besides being really funny, is a great representation of this. Not just in the fact that he labels his friends as bad because they didn't want to help him with his business idea, but in the visuals of his slideshow, we see this egotistical victim complex very nicely. In one of the slides, when he accuses them of not treating him right, they simply aren't putting attention to him. Literally the best representation of this character. Seeing him constantly ruin the vibe is both hilarious and so uncomfortable, with the peak of his character's unawareness being when he puts on the podcast. I hate this little worm fucker so much, and I love that. But yes, even though Warren helps a lot, he by himself is not enough to disperse the feeling that the episode is disjointed. Regardless, I don't want to give the impression that I dislike this one. I still enjoy watching it a lot. It has a ton of hilarious moments, a great teacher, good songs, and the presentation is top notch just like the rest of the show really. It's a fun and great episode, despite its messiness.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Out of the 6 TV show episodes, the one that leans the most into horror is definitely Family. This one focuses on the twins Lily and Todney, who come around the 3 guys' house to teach them what a real family is like. While it starts off silly and lighthearted like the rest of them, once they enter Lily's and Todney's house, the tone drastically shifts. The set itself is the kind of shit you would see in a Nordic horror movie. I swear to God, this is Lars von Trier's color palette, and it actually works very well. Lily and Todney are a couple of creepy ass motherfuckers, I swear. Even before they take the 3 of them into their house, their smooth faces look almost like masks, and they are the exact type of doll you would see in an actual horror movie. And the rest of their family aren't far off. The brother and the dad are also extremely creepy, and the grandma in particular gets a couple of really nice jump scares. I like the usage of some typical horror movie tools and props, like a haunting VHS tape or an eerie board game. The episode plays like a nonsensical shortened horror movie, with the characters getting picked one by one until only Yellow Guy remains. And it all culminates in a fantastic ending. The last sequence in the twins' house is genuinely so creepy, but in a really fun way. The way their desperation grows as Yellow makes the call is so unsettling. Their monstrous mouths are a great design that conveys so much of their true nature in a simple way. But of course, the centerpiece of this sequence is Roy's short but impactful appearance. This motherfucker and his slim-ass puppet body command so much respect, and I actually really love the decision to leave his massacre of the family off-screen. They could have gone all out, make it extremely bloody and gory, but I think leaving the bloodshed to our imagination is even scarier. With all of that being said, this episode still manages to be really funny.
I'm the dad, he's the pet, and you're
The dad.
I love my family and they like me!
These pictures, they've all been framed.
Yes?
Nice, framed pictures.
The songs in particular are hilarious. The twins' family song that ends up spelling some other bullshit is great, and Doug's family song is both funny and genuinely sad. My only real issue with this episode is that Red's family subplot doesn't feel that well realized. While Doug's loneliness is very effectively portrayed, and Yellow's horror plot is great like I explained already, Red's need for a family is not as compelling. It all feels a bit rushed, especially that one scene in which he is with others like him. It ends up feeling like a random add-on that doesn't serve much of a narrative or thematic purpose. I do think that the exploration of what a family is, and more importantly what a society expects a family to be, are very interesting. The twins' creepy-ass family needs to be a classic familiar structure. They need a mother to be proper, and it is interesting how they attempt to force that worldview into the three of them. So it's really nice seeing them get to the conclusion that they are a family already, even if not a traditional one. Hell yeah! DHMIS says gay rights.
They got a new thing called Free Shavakadu.
Food is the web series' 5th episode, being all about eating healthily, and it is easily the creepiest and most disturbing one when it comes to the sheer visuals of it. There is another web series episode that I think is scarier from a psychological standpoint, but this one easily has the most effective use of gore, and the thing that makes the eventual horror of this episode work so well is that unlike the episodes that came before it, from the very beginning it is clear that something is off. Of course, it's mainly due to the characters realizing that Red is missing, but in general everything feels wrong. Even the way the song starts is clunky, with the bread crappily banging the rhythm and just suddenly stopping. What adds to this is that from the very beginning of the song and throughout the whole of it, Yellow, but especially Duck, constantly reject the teachers. They no longer can accept as easily these silly random characters. Duck's uneasiness throughout the song really gets under your skin. It's almost as if he knows that he is next. The way the teachers constantly shut down his worries by singing about supposedly healthy eating habits adds to this feeling of uneasiness. Duck can't really do anything about what's happening, no one is coming to help him. The calls throughout the song that lead right back to it add to this sensation that he is helpless. It's almost frustrating. Someone is close, someone is trying to reach him, but it doesn't matter, it's too late, and what's coming is inevitable. It creates this ominous feeling, and once the payoff actually comes, it is really effective, especially the usage of gore like I mentioned already. The shots of Duck being gutted, only to then be canned and served to Yellow Guy are so off-putting. The last scene of the episode in particular, with Yellow Guy fattened after eating his last remaining friend, is both horrific and heartbreaking. This episode is also filled with great details and mystery. It truly is a theorist's dream come true. You have the phone that keeps ringing, Red Guy's brief appearance when the camera falls over and during the credits, both Duck and the teachers being seemingly aware of the show nature of it all. It's great. Duck's final line, "I don't want to do this anymore," is particularly interesting. It just creates so many questions. Did he know about the program reality all along, or is he just now beginning to figure it out? But beyond all that, this episode also manages to be really fun. The song, while not necessarily one of my favorites, still is super catchy and has a ton of hilarious moments.
Oh no, look, it's all broken and on the floor.
And the way it gets derailed and becomes disturbing near the end is very entertaining. I think the only kind of weak aspect of this episode is the teachers. I like the spinach can and the steak well enough, but they aren't as charming or funny as the previous 4 teachers. It's somewhat understandable, since the episode does lean more into horror, but given how important the teachers are in the original web series, them not being the greatest explains why I have this episode relatively low. But still, this is a really fun watch, with some of the best horror in the whole series. Great episode.
Have you ever had a dreams that you had?
Dreams was the last episode of the web series, and this thing was everything to me. It is initially about this lamp trying to teach Yellow about dreams, but more so than any other entry, things quickly go awry and take a sharp turn, because this one isn't really about dreams or shit going wrong, it's about wrapping up the web series and giving a semi-cohesive answer to its mysteries and overarching themes. I was so excited about this ending, about it finally answering our questions, at least to a certain extent, and this finale does kind of do that. But many years later, rewatching it now, I don't know if I love as much how plot heavy this one is. I think it being relatively clear about what's going on and too focused on explaining itself makes it lose some of the charm present in the rest of the web series. That being said, if they were going to try and attempt to give some answers, I think this was a great way to do it. This finale sort of confirmed the popular theory that this was a show created by Red Guy, but that it slowly got taken over by Roy. That's why, throughout the show, Red Guy talks to the camera, and is confused by some of the teachers coming onto the show, as if his original plans for the episodes were changed. That is why he is so shocked about another shoot going on at the end of episode 4, almost as if they're trying to do the show behind his back. That's why Roy appears in every episode from the second one onward, and he's always at the end of the credits, since from that point he took over. That's why in this last one, Red Guy sings the creativity song and Roy seems to discover him, giving him the possibility to create the show, but with him always having true control of it, lurking in the shadows. It's all an allegory for creatives getting their ideas taken over by executive producers, an allegory about how art can never truly blossom and be genuine when under the control of those whose main concern is profit. It fits very well not only with the overall themes of the series, but also its real-life production, with its creators deciding to produce it with crowdfunding instead of going to private investors. So I love how in the end Red Guy gets the upper hand over Roy, unplugging the whole show and starting over, this time with the three of them being their favorite color. Beyond the episode wraps things up, I really love the visual presentation for this one. Seeing the Red Guys living in a real world is wonderful. The way they were able to capture mundanity with this surreal imagery is great. There's one particular shot in this, the one of the white stairs, that has always stuck with me. There's something about it that feels strangely personal in its eeriness. Red Guy's plotline of trying to express artistic creativity in a world that does not welcome it has always been very compelling to me, even if it is a bit heavy-handed. Also, the fact that he gets canonically naked while up on the stage is hilarious to me. And speaking of hilarious, let's talk the funny. Even though the episode loses some of its charm by being so plot-heavy, it still retains a lot of its original appeal with the yellow guy scenes. Most of the horror and comedy of the episode is here, and in particular the sequence with all of the teachers tormenting Yellow with their songs is both off-putting and really funny.
Path went into a mystery. You made me die.
I'll be honest, I was racking my brains trying to write this entry, and if you thought this whole section was messy, yeah, it is, you're right. This is a hard episode to analyze and rank, because it feels so different from everything else, and breaks a lot of the conventions of the series, which in of itself has value and is worthy of praise. But yes, for now I'll simply keep it on this spot, and call it great, because I'm not sure what else to say about it.
I'm talking about work. You said the bad word.
With the TV show, Don't Hug Me I'm Scared moved a little bit away from its weird fucked up horror identity, leaning more into the absurdist comedy and satire, and Jobs is the perfect example of that. As the title implies, this one is all about work, with the briefcase coming to teach our three guys about the world of jobs, and how to find the right one for you. Just how the web series critiqued parts of our society through the lenses of a kid's show, the TV show, with Jobs, satirizes our work culture and the inner workings of corporatism. The three of them are told how they need to find the job that's right for them, and they can do whatever it is they want to do. But soon after, the facade breaks away, and they are thrown into a generic, passionless factory. At this point, they could have just had the three of them do the manufacturing job. But I love how they throw each character into a different facet of the workplace, with Yellow becoming another manufacturer, Red turning into upper management, and Duck being unemployed. Hey, that's me! Through each of their roles, the episode perfectly commentates on how most industries treat people. Either they conform and become a cog in the machine, they ascend the corporate ladder but lose their original identity in the process, or they are thrown out into the sidelines when they are unable to fit in. I think Duck's journey in this episode is particularly interesting. Through his refusal to participate in the workplace culture, he is treated like crap. The food he receives is lob, he is fired for speaking up against management, and when he receives mental help, it mostly puts the blame on him, and it is designed to get him back to work and nothing else. The Stress song perfectly encapsulates this idea. Everything that is said is either a useless nothing burger or straight up unhelpful. That image of him receiving anti-stress documents only for them to become even more of a burden and throw him off is incredible. Doug's line, "I'm not stressed, I'm unemployed," resonates deeply with me. That being said, I don't want to give the impression that this is a downer episode, because even though the satire is depressingly on point, the episode is hilarious as always, and it presents all of these ideas in very absurd ways. With, for example, Red Guy ascending through the corporate ladder not because he has any qualifications, but simply because he is a smooth talker. Wait, no, that tracks. There's so many moments and lines which make me burst out with laughter.
Million things. Wow.
Actually, that's too much. Put some back.
And that leads me nicely into the ending. Like I said, the TV series moved away from the gore compared to the web series, but still is very much present, and this explosion of violence near the end is great. I love how it becomes almost a cult-like ritual, with all of the other workers celebrating it, and there is some really nice foreshadowing for this with the introduction video that Doug watches. It all leads back into the initial job song that got them here in the first place, which again is foreshadowed really nicely earlier in the episode. I'll talk about the song in more detail later, but I really like this one. It's very catchy and fun. Also, Unemployed Brandon is literally me, and I love him. It's particularly impressive how many costumes and props it has. The artwork in this show is always extremely well done and impressive, That is something that I don't want to go unsaid, even if it's obvious. But this first installment goes all out, with the workplace sets, costumes, props, and particularly all of the worker characters. Like, they didn't need to create this urinal puppet, this joke wasn't essential to the episode, but they still went ahead and did it. I do have a couple of issues with this episode though. Even though I do like the setting of the factory and office a lot, I think it suffers from a similar issue to the love episode. It always feels a little weird to have the characters out of the house. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it does make it feel less cohesive with the rest of the show, like it's something else entirely. And also similar to the love episode, while I think having each of the protagonists take a different role in the work culture was the right approach for the satire, losing their relationship and chemistry is a bit of a shame. They spend large parts of this episode by themselves, and don't get to interact much with one another. Mind you, it isn't nearly as bad as the love episode, and in general the TV show does have them be apart a lot more often than the web series, but I think they went a bit too far with this first one. You do miss having them together. You know, it's the three of them, like the song says. There's also a couple of minor pacing issues, like this weird cut to commercial or with the urinal joke that comes out of nowhere, even if I appreciate it in a vacuum. Regardless, this is a fantastic start for the TV show, and a welcome return to form for this series, and it perfectly sets the tone for the rest of the season, especially with how quotable much of it is.
Well, no, what about Nothing Day? It was supposed to be Nothing Day. I'm looking forward to doing that.
What are you talking about? We've only been here for 9 minutes.
You can almost feel the electricity in the air. Can't you?
Electricity is the TV show current finale, and as such, I think it works incredibly well, especially if we ever get a season 2. Similar to the web series finale, this episode expands on the inner workings of this universe, hinting at how things are run in this house, and to some of the possible explanations of this prison reality these characters exist in. But unlike the web series finale, this one is much more vague and leaves a lot more questions unanswered, which I love. The vagueness fits so well with the existential horror of the show. The opening itself is very eerie, with the usual theme song being replaced by their house spinning with creepy music, and that is it. It's a lot less flashy than usual, and it feels so off. But how do we get to those answers and hints? Well, this episode is initially about electricity, with Electracy coming to try and teach the trio about, well, electricity. I have to say, Electracy is one of my favorite teachers. She is so adorable, and the only one who made a genuine attempt at teaching them about the topic, while also being nice to them. She simultaneously has Chaos Goblin energy to her. Like when she tells Red to answer the rock phone, and then repeatedly yells "try it" to him, while he is already doing it. And she continues to be a Chaos Goblin by revealing she stuffed her real phone inside the rock phone. Electracy is perfect, and I love her. Her song is one of the most fun and catchy of the whole franchise, and also has some incredible jokes. Besides the eerie opening, the episode feels pretty normal so far, but once Yellow reveals he runs on batteries just like Electracy and Doug switches them, is that event truly gets set in motion for this finale. Turns out that Yellow is deeply smart, he only needed some new energy. I love how in the web series Red was the one to question things first, and try to escape from it, and this time around is Yellow's turn. I can only imagine that if we ever get a season 2, Doug will eventually have his exploration of the reality. But that is enough theory crafting. This is a ranking video, not a DHMIS explain video. Smart Yellow is a really compelling character, and watching him slowly question things and trying to unfold the mystery of the reality is super interesting. The episode also manages to find the comedy with this character, with the other two getting weirded out and frustrated by his sudden smarts.
Tariff? Stop showing off! I can make up words too, you know. Watch. Tariff. Damn it!
Him shutting down the teachers that come to try and distract him from the truth is also really funny. This little safe guy is a dumbass, and I love him. Once Yellow decides to climb the stairs, the episode slowly gets somber. The big boys and bigger boys versions of Red and Doug are so off-putting in their designs. And just the fact that these two alternate versions of them exist is so unsettling. Why are there more of them being held prisoners in this reality? It is really interesting how the big boys consider themselves to be so smart, but just like the main three guys, they are also trapped and distracted by the teachers and their silly songs. Similarly, the bigger boys, despite no longer simply learning topics but also putting them to the test, are just as trapped, distracted by their cruel experiments. Because with this episode, it becomes clear that the teacher's objective is different to the web series. In there, they existed mainly to torment the characters. But in the TV show, they function more so as a source of entertainment to keep them from questioning their reality, which is almost more sinister. The brief moment in which the humans puppeteering the teachers become visible to Yellow is shocking, and works like a quiet jump scare. In general, the more meta aspect of this episode and the TV show as a whole really is one of the more interesting aspects about it. Not just as something that makes you think about the possible answers and explanations to this universe, but also because it works so well with the themes of this show. This show is all about questioning preconceived notions and ideas that are instilled on us from the society around us. So having the lesson be a literal show to distract the characters reflects how many of these ideas we are fed from a young age aren't to be fully trusted. Despite the ominous tone that the encounters with the big boys and bigger boys have, the episode still manages to have a lot of comedy with these guys, especially with the first pair.
Try and keep up, mate.
It's a wonderful quote and soundbite. But of course, that levity is gone and fully replaced with existential horror once Yellow meets Leslie. Leslie is somewhat off-putting visually, but what really makes her scary is the puppet master role she seems to take, which is really nicely set up at the end of episode 5, and with episode 6 opening. We get a glimpse into her possible control over these characters, but the fact that she remains so mysterious is what makes her so unsettling. Vivian Song plays this creepy and offbeat character so well. The sudden shifts in her tone lend this sense of instability to her. At any given moment, she could make their lives worse, simply because she desires to. However, the crowning moment of this sequence is the reveal of another door and staircase that leads even higher. Oh man, the chills! This is what I meant about the vagueness. I love that it leaves so much open to interpret, and hopefully, eventually, it gets followed up on a season 2. Which is why it's so great that Yellow gets resetted by Doug at the end of the episode, and then proceeds to destroy the book that may have had some answers. This final dolly out shot of the three of them laughing maniacally as the music gets louder and the set gets more and more infinite is such a perfect representation of the psychological horror of this show. It's silly, it's colorful, but it's nonetheless so unsettling. This episode is a great season finale. With all of that being said, I do have a couple of issues with it. You may have noticed that I haven't touched on the B-plot of this episode that much, and that is for good reason. While Yellow is up attempting to discover the truth, Doug and Red are fucking around with electricity, to the point that they experience a blackout. Even though this B-plot is really enjoyable on its own, and has one of the most important scenes of queer cinema in history.
And maybe looking at you.
Really? You like looking at me?
Yeah, I suppose I do.
Well, I like looking at you too.
It does clash a bit with the tone of the main plot, and makes the pacing a bit clunky. There's some aspects of it that connect to the larger mystery of the episode, like previous teachers appearing and disappearing, pointing to the simulation type reality they are in, but it feels too disconnected in my opinion. Also, this is a really dumb nitpick, but I don't like how dumb Red is in this episode. I'm fine with him not questioning the truth like Yellow does. He's done enough of that already, but it does feel weird to me that he didn't know the answer to be the word up in the crossword puzzle. I don't know, I feel like that's something that Red would point out as obvious. He feels just a tad lobotomized here. I don't want to give the impression that I don't like this part of the episode, because I definitely do. Most of the comedy of it is in here, and it has loads of charm, just like the rest of the show. It's just that it makes the episode feel a bit less cohesive. Regardless, I still love this season finale, and it's a great addition to the show. I can't wait to see where it goes next, if it ever does go somewhere. Becky and Joseph, I'm begging you, please continue this series. Don't Hug Me I'm Scared 1 is the one that started it all. It's crazy thinking how big this video got back in the day. Everybody was talking about it, everybody was theorizing about it, everybody was reacting to it. You even had Shane Dawson being a tasteless buffoon as usual, thinking this wasn't good.
This is a lot more normal than how I write my videos.
Wow Shane, you're so cool and edgy, you're not like other girls, you're so different. Don't Hug Me I'm Scared was an event, and you just had to be there, you know? And even though this first one is pretty simple and low budget, right from the bat you can see a lot of the charm this series would come to master. A lot of staple aspects of these characters would get defined here, like Red's deadpan delivery and his rejection of the teacher's teachings.
I use my head to express myself.
That sounds pretty boring.
Doug's scanty voice.
It's just a boring old orange.
And the constant bullying of Yellow Guy.
Green!
Green is not a creative color.
The formula of a teacher coming to teach repressive things was settled right from the beginning, with the notepad telling the characters to be creative, but also not allowing them to truly be creative. The eventual turn to fucked up territory is very fun. and would define the use of gore for the whole show, especially the web series. Just a quick side note, I love that when the camera rotates and they turn big when it comes back, Red is exactly the same. That cracks me up, dude. It is truly impressive how right they got it on their first try. And the song itself is a banger. I love this first one so much. It's catchy, the lyrics are funny, and the unsettling melody in the second half of it is what makes the fucked up imagery actually work. There's an undisputable charm to this first entry. It's not necessarily as complex or cohesive as some of the later episodes, but it is a beautiful display of artists being creative and speaking with an impressively unique voice. This first episode is as iconic as it is for good reason. It was a slam dunk right away. And they constantly improved from here. I'm so happy it got as big as it did, because if it weren't for it, none of the great media that came after would have existed.
You won't be able to see some of your favorite corncob TV shows, including Coffin Flop.
The TV show's second episode is Death, and I'll say it guys, I think this is the funniest one in all of it. The mere idea of it is hilarious. In a series where the characters constantly get seriously injured or even die, just to come back again as if nothing happened, having a whole episode devoted to one of them being dead, but not actually, is simply incredible. Doug's first line,
"Well, I'm dead,"
perfectly sets the tone for the rest of the episode, because this one is a straight up comedy, and it doesn't bother trying to creep you out. Every other episode, both in the TV show and the web series, has at least one moment of horror, make it be the accident during the Jobs episode, the warm moment in the friendship one, the cold reveal at the end of Love, etc. Because even though Death does have gore just like the rest, it is kind of minimal and mostly played for laughs, like the reveal of Worms eating Doug's leg being referred to by him as
"Look, I've made some new friends." Tickles.
Or Yellow's reaction to Doug's heart falling out being,
"You laid an egg. Quick, make a wish."
It is a mostly irreverent episode, which we can see in how Doug is referred to as David by other characters, or with how the Special Day song gets derailed, or in how the funeral is a mess that no one is taking seriously, and most notably with how Doug treats the Coffin character. The role of the teacher is interesting in the TV show, because while in the web series they were mostly there to torment the three of them, in here they take a variety of roles. Lily and Todney still mostly function as horror villains, but Briefcase and Choo Choo simply introduce the topic, and Tracy actually attempts to educate them. However, Coffin is here to do one thing and one thing only, and that is eat shit. The scenes of Doug annoying him are so incredible. The bit about Doug counting time and essentially scratching his wooden skin is gold, dude. Out of all the teachers that are quote-unquote defeated, Coffin is beaten down simply by being rage-baited.
Right, that's it. I'm done. I don't have to put up with this.
But I'm dead.
Yes, and you're terrible at it.
God, I love this show. There's simply so much shit on this episode that cracks me up.
Which one of you's dead?
Ah, that would be...
Wait, don't tell me. I'm good at this. It's you, isn't it? Well done.
No.
It's me.
Yeah, well, you were my second choice. Hey, wow, I didn't like that.
Oh.
Have a sandwich.
Sandwiches. Ugh. Claymation.
And hey, speaking of claymation, I love Stain Edwards so freaking much. He's adorable while still being really funny.
Look, guys, I'm getting my core values. Honesty. The spirit of adventure. Finance.
Stop it.
His song is genuinely really nice, and something that could pass as an actual kids show song. It is lovely. I feel so bad for him, in the way he gets shut down by the other two and eventually forced by Red to turn into another Doug guy. Which actually leads me to the most interesting aspect of this episode. Because even though it is mostly comedic, it gets to something real about the different ways people deal with grief. Mostly in how Yellow and Red process their loss of Doug. Yellow is unable to move on from him, suffering with his absence, and Red, on the other hand, acts as if nothing happened and instantly attempts to fill the hole with someone else. Both of these ideas are taken to their most literal extremes. Yellow goes ahead and actually digs up Doug, refusing to let him go, and Red quite literally replaces him with another version of him. Even when being sillier, the show is able to commentate on more serious facets of our lives. What can I say? A hilarious, deep, and all-around great episode. Also, is Doug dead or is it Stain Edwards? I need an answer, dude.
I hate the internet, yet I'm addicted to the internet.
So true. So true.
Wow, look, nothing.
Fucking hysterical. Episode 4 of the web series, Computers, is about the wonders of computers and their digital worlds, and it is by far the funniest one of the original web series. And that is mostly thanks to Colin the Computer, who is my second favorite teacher by the way. This guy fucking rules. Everything he does and says is comedy gold. Just the mere fact that he is an old computer is a great choice, especially when Red Guy points out that they already have a modern notebook. But Colin ignores him, and in general likes to do his own thing, even if the characters aren't on board. That is clear from the beginning when he outright hijacks the episode and begins singing his song, stealing the spotlight from the globe. Even when Red Guy attempts to put things back on track and again asks, what is the biggest thing in the world? Colin ignores him and continues doing his own thing. In that sense, not only it is very funny, but it feels very well into the overall analysis of the internet the episode is doing. The internet is a limitless space, in which you can learn about anything you want, and yet, algorithms often box us into the same topics, and it is almost as if they're trying to hide information from us. Colin only shows them what he wants to show them, which becomes particularly clear when they go into the digital world, where there is only 3 things to do. What do you mean only 3 things to do? This space is meant to be limitless. Somehow, this analysis feels even more relevant and accurate nowadays than back in 2015 when this episode was released. Even his invasive use of questions, trying to gather as much personal data as possible, has become even more relevant in the last few years. It's particularly interesting how they decide to have this analysis through an old computer. Not much more to expand there, just something I wanted to point out. Beyond the really interesting ways the themes are presented, this episode is really entertaining and hilarious like I said already. Again, Colin truly is the star of it, but all 3 of the guys get at least one moment to shine as well, more so than in the previous 3 episodes of the web series.
And I tell you the time.
Wow, I'm like to be as smart as a computer.
Oh yeah, wow, because of the computer.
And the song, ooh, it's so funky! The retro electronic sound of it is of course very fitting for this computer, and Colin's 8-bit voice is wonderful. The lyrics are extremely catchy, and again, fucking hilarious.
Look, nothing!
The physical set is great as always, with a lot of fun details, but once we reach the digital world part of the episode is where it really gets to shine. The bare bones computer 3D animation is extremely charming, and the music begins a really great flow during it. That is, until the ending, where it gets derailed and shit gets creepy. What I like so much about the horror of this episode is how surreal it feels. It's not particularly scary, it's more trippy than anything else, but the distorted, fast-paced music, accompanied by the glitchy visuals, creates such an unsettling and disorienting experience. It's great! And the ending was legit the biggest edging in internet history. It was a whole year between this one and the next, and it ends with one of the characters breaking out of his reality and exploding. Dude, the questions! Computers is masterful. Such a funny, weird, charming, and honestly flawless episode. And somehow, there are 2 others I like even more.
I like trains.
Transport is the 5th episode of the TV show, and it is so special. The episode does start off as usual, with Choo Choo coming to meet them and attempting to teach them about transport. Tonally, it is very much like every other episode. Funny, irreverent, silly, and absurd. One of my favorite aspects about the use of Choo Choo is that he just fucking dies. The characters don't have to do anything to him, or get subjected to his torment, or anything. He simply collapses. That is hilarious. But once he dies and fails to teach them about transport, there's still like 15 minutes left. So, the episode breaks the formula, and something incredible happens. They get out of the house, into the road. That first moment of silence, with the 3 of them simply watching the world around them, is magical. These puppets always have the same face, but alongside the music and shot composition, they are able to communicate so much wonder mixed with fear. I think the episode is so special for me because it gets to something deeper about our need to do more with our lives and how impossible that can feel. These 3 characters are trapped in their own little world, and Red's necessity to break out of it is really compelling, especially as it becomes clear that they won't be successful. The breakdown he has near the end of the ride, when the car is breaking down, really gets to me. There is an existential horror at the center of this one. The idea that our lives are predetermined, or at the very least limited by factors fully out of our control. That no matter what we do, we won't be able to achieve what we dream of, or find our place in the world, or even be able to escape whatever negative situation or feelings we may be dealing with. Of course, for these characters it's a lot more literal. They are explicitly trapped in this house, and by the end of the episode they are brought back to it, even after reaching a seemingly new place. The last few minutes of this episode are so chilling. After the sudden shift in tone when the bird dies on Yellow's window, the episode becomes extremely somber. Red's desperation at the realization that they can't get much farther is unnerving. I particularly love his line,
Grolton always makes his appointment, and no matter what happens, they start the next episode back at home.
both in the context of the scene and as a meta joke. And the transition from the cartoony background into the dump is very effective. Those last few minutes in the dump are quietly eerie, and to me, one of the most terrifying sequences in both the TV show and the web series. But not in a loud, shocking kind of way. There is no gore or a horrific creature like in many of the other endings of this series. It is simply the loneliness and quietness of the garbage disposal that really gets under my skin. The utter confusion and helplessness of these characters when faced with this place is way scarier than any violent and bloody set piece could be. I can't really explain it, it's just so effective. And even though most of the episode is quietly somber, with a clear focus on existential horror, it still manages to have some hilarious moments. Like I already mentioned, Choo Choo falling apart is so funny to me, especially during his song. The voice performance is really good. Hearing this happy-go-lucky tune in this raspy and dying voice is hysterical. Beyond that, there are some jokes here and there that are simply great.
I don't know about that. I'm a train.
Ow!
What's this stuff on it?
You did that.
No, I didn't.
I don't know, what about just down here?
I'm sorry, that place doesn't exist anymore.
What? What happened to it?
Just shriveled up, I reckon.
And of course, my favorite line.
It is forged far beneath the earth with the last remnants of the ancient months.
That's such a metal and badass way to describe petrol. Transport, besides having the charm this series usually has, points to one of my favorite aspects about it, and that is the use of existential horror. It is incredibly effective, and when it comes to my number one pick, I love it for similar reasons. So let's just get to it, because it is pretty obvious which episode it is. I mean, come on, what else could it have been? To this day, Time still is my favorite episode, because besides all of its incredible qualities, it is the scariest one by far, the one that truly gets under my skin. Similar to Transport, the horror here isn't based on the gore or over-the-top violence, because the reminder that we are mortal and our lives are limited is scarier than anything else. The last verse of this one is deeply haunting.
It's out of my hands, I'm only a clock. Don't worry, I'm sure you'll be fine, but eventually everyone runs out of time.
It freezes me in place, and keeps me there as nothing but the sound of the clock remains. It is such an effective piece of horror, it does so much with so little. What's great about the horror in this one is that it's better set up compared to some of the other episodes. It's not as shocking, in part because you've already seen the first episode and know what's coming, but also because it's hinted at throughout the song, with unsettling moments like Roy's introduction or the clock's sometimes aggressive tone. Just the horror by itself would be enough to propel this one to first place, because ever since I watched it for the first time, that aspect was what stuck with me, and what makes me think of this episode as the best one to this day. However, there's more greatness to this one. The song itself is such a goddamn banger. Spoiler for the song ranking, but this is the best song to ever come out of this series. So catchy, funny, unsettling when it needs to be, silly when it wants to, like with the fish lyrics, and incredibly well sung. Tony the Clock has the best voice out of any teacher, and I'll just say it, he's the best teacher. This character is so fucking good, he dominates the screen like no one else, and he's a goddamn clock puppet, holy shit, I love him. He is also hot, according to some people, of course, I'm not saying me necessarily. It's also notable the jump in the production quality and artistry compared to the first one. There's more sets and backgrounds, there's different animation styles, there's more puppets, and all of it is incredibly well done. Everything about this episode is perfection. The visual presentation, the music, the teacher, the comedy, and above all else, the extremely effective psychological horror. It is a masterpiece, and easily my favorite Don't Hug Me I'm Scared episode. But I'm not done yet, because just like I promised at the beginning, I now have to rank every song. My original idea for this video was actually a song ranking, but I decided against it, because for the web series episodes, the songs are in large part the episode, so it felt better to talk about each chapter in its fullness. And also, I don't know shit about music terminology, so I would have been talking out of my ass. Okay, song ranking time! At last place, in number 39, is the Shovel song. Yes, I'm counting all of these short jingles from episode 6, I don't care. I could have counted them as one song, but doing it this way is funnier. This one is probably the most forgettable out of all of them, which makes it the worst. Number 38 is the cigarette song. It's barely anything, but that's kind of amusing. Number 37 is the traffic light song. I can't really tell what the fuck he's saying. Number 36 is the boombox song. Again, I can't really tell what the hell it's saying. Number 35 is the magnet song. Oh my god, there is so many of these. This one is still bad, which I know it's the point. The songs in this section of the episode get progressively worse on purpose, but unlike some of the other dumb and bad short jingles, this one isn't very funny or memorable. Between 35 and 34 is the Moo Moo song. I say between because I forgot about it and I'm recording this while editing. It's fine, it's kinda funny that whoever is singing it is trying not to break. Number 34 is Tondie's 9-time song. I mean, yes, this one is awful, but it's awful on purpose, and it is pretty funny on that sense. It's also in the episode credits, and I'm counting that reprise in the same entry, leave me alone. Number 33 is the Dream song from the original finale, and this song kinda sucks. It's clunky musically and the lamp's voice is outright bad, but the fact that the song is bad is very much on purpose, and works very well within the context of the episode. It's meant to be off-putting from its very beginning, with Yellow being terrified of it right away, which is also why it's so short. So yes, it works for the episode, but when judged as a song stripped of its context, it's not very good. Which I know is a stupid way to view it, but I set out to rank the songs, and my criteria is basically how much I enjoy them in a vacuum, so take everything with a grain of salt. Number 32 is Red Guy's Creativity song. I wasn't sure if to count this one, but since I did, I'll just throw it here, because I have no idea what to do with it. I have nothing of substance to say. Cool! Number 31 is the Gel song. Similar to the boombox one, I can't really tell what he's saying, but I think it's funny how in pain this gel canister is. Number 30 is the Sports song. This one is kind of bad and clunky, but also funny because of that. I particularly like how it sings the red card. Number 29 is the Insurance song. This one is very much in line with the short songs of episode 6, so it makes sense to put it around here. It's short, kind of bad on purpose, but also silly and funny. Number 28 is the Vending Machine song. This one is cute and I like it. Number 27 is Jumper Dinker's song. I wasn't sure if to count this one, but why not? Whatever. This one is silly, and I think her weird ass voice is very funny. Number 26 is the Boundaries and Rocks song. I actually really like how it switches between the two teachers. Pretty cute and fun one. But yeah, one of the less memorable ones. It's like a longer version of the random songs of episode 6. Number 25 is the Healthy song. I love how off this one is within the context of the episode, but it does make the song itself less catchy. There's a lot of sections that are spoken rather than sung, which again, works within the episode, but make it weaker as a song. I still enjoy it a lot though, but it's easily the weakest song out of the big ones from the web series. Number 24 is the File song Reprise. In a sequence that's mostly meant to be horrific, this one is strangely cute to me. Like, aw, Red Guy's song about a file became real. I also really like the voice and autotune for the file. Number 23 is the Planet song. Okay, so this one is really stupid and clearly isn't good musically, but goddammit, it's so funny. I love it. Number 22 is Brain Friends. This one feels like an actual kids show song, and like I mentioned when I was talking about the episode, the whole Brain Friends sequence, including this song, fills me with so much tenderness. It is really adorable. Number 21 is Red Guy's File song. This is the original and it is better. Red, I love you. These freaks simply don't get you like I do. Number 20 is The Worm in Your Brain. Musically, this one isn't particularly notable, but it's nice enough, and has a couple of really funny lyrics, especially the Red Guy Denim's beat. He does look great in denim. Number 19 is Memories. I like this one, it's genuinely really nice. I love the softness, but it simultaneously manages to have a lot of funny lyrics. The darker turn near the end, when Yellow begins digging, is also pretty effective. The song is a bit inconsistent tonally though. It tries to do a lot in a short time, but still, very solid one. Number 18 is the Saxophone song. Okay, I know having this dumb shit so high up is silly, but goddammit, it is so funny. Why the hell is a saxophone singing about teaching you about buying a canoe? I know random doesn't mean funny, but I'm sorry, sometimes it does, especially when done as right as it is here. What can I say, it just cracks me up. Number 17 is the Family song. I love how bad this one gets to be at times. The awful recorder in particular is incredible. But of course, the best part about it is how they start spelling family and then end up spelling some other nonsensical bullshit. Such a good gag. Number 16 is Warren's origin song. I already talked about how this is such a perfect representation of why he sucks, and that's really why the song works so well. Musically it's pretty fun too. Number 15 is Transport. I love the 2D animation here, and like I mentioned already, the happy tune being sung by this decrepit voice is very funny. Good song. Number 14 is Season's 2 opening theme, also called There Is Three of Us. This is such a great song to start each episode. I love how it changes slightly each time. even foreshadowing what comes next, like when Red momentarily snaps during the episode 4 intro, an episode before he actually has the breakdown, or how Yellow basically explains the entire plot of episode 6 during episode 5 opening. Great theme song. There's 4 of Us also goes included here, don't ask. Number 13 is the Get Creative song. Like I said already, this one is iconic as hell. The lyrics are catchy and funny, and the turn in the melody is very creepy and unsettling. Number 12 is the Job song. I alluded to it while talking about the episode, but this one is simply too fun and catchy, which in of itself is great and has value, but it also fits greatly into the episode, with how the briefcase is selling them this false idea about picking a job that's right for you. I love how the song loops back around at the end of the episode, it's just so good. Again, Unemployed Brandon is my spirit animal, he is perfect, and I love him. Number 11 is the Love song. While this episode is a big week for the reasons I explained, the song itself, in a vacuum, fucking slaps. It has a lot of funny lines, and the Michael section, which I consider part of the song, is fucking hysterical. One aspect I love about it is that the cheerful melody doesn't change that much when things turn creepy. That's a cool dichotomy. Breaking into the top 10 is Doug's mixtape. Okay, I know this one is silly, but I love it, dude. It's so funny. Doug's singing voice is always a treat, and it is great how it is basically a list of the TV show's teachers. Great shitpost song. Number 9 is the Time Child song. Okay, so I purposefully avoided talking about this bit when discussing the episode because I wanted to save it for now. The Time Child song is basically a Family Guy cutaway gag. That is the bullshit we are dealing with. But unlike everything from Family Guy, this shit is actually hilarious. It's so silly, the light show is so over the top, while still cheap in the best way possible. The Time Child's voice is incredible, and his disappointment once he realizes they're not here is so funny. This one rules. Number 8 is the Road song. I love seeing these characters actually be joyful every once in a while. This one is just really charming and enjoyable, while still retaining the more off-putting humor of the show with some of his lyrics. Number 7 is the Big Day song. God, this one rules! It has so many cool details visually, like the duck face turning into a skull whenever they say Big Day, and the overall sing-along presentation of it is so charming. Musically, it is entertaining and catchy, and the way the lyrics derail into something different at the end is very funny. Great one, though I would have appreciated if they didn't show us Red Guy's teeth. Number 6 is Doug's family song. No joke, this one gets me so emotional. There's something so genuine about Doug trying to hide his sadness behind the lyrics, pretending as if his loneliness doesn't bother him. In a show that's usually silly and irreverent, this one is potently honest. Number 5 is the Computer song. This one is so funky. The derpy old school sound of it is wonderful, and Colin's 8-bit voice is so much fun. The second half, once they enter the digital world and it becomes faster, is so silly. Such a dinky ass song. The last looping section of the song is trippy as hell and rules so much. Number 4 is Stains Edward's song. This one is just deeply charming and cute. It doesn't veer into creepiness or goes off track, it is simply adorable. I love Stain Edwards. For the bronze, I have the Electricity song. This one is just overwhelmingly charming. The fact that it is a genuine attempt by Electricity to teach them makes it so enjoyable, and it is pretty cute actually. Of course, it still manages to be very funny, sometimes in a very dark way, but what really pushes this song into top 3 is Doug's Shredder interlude. I swear to God, he has the best songs, it is incredible. What about my Shredder indeed? The ending with electric guitars is actually so funky and cool. I love this one, and I love Tracy. Taking the silver at number 2 is the Stress song. God, such a funky lo-fi banger! The auto-tuned robotic voice sounds so satisfying to me, but it all conceals darker intentions. I mentioned it already on the episode entry, but this is such a perfect representation of corporate and HR's fakeness, and their lack of worry for their employees. They are not interested in actually helping them. They simply care about getting them functional and back to work as soon as possible. It's also so funny. I love that being called a cube is what makes Doug snap. And at number 1, the best song is the Time song. I mean, I already spoiled it, but come on. Tony's voice is that of an angel, and the lyrics he sings are not only catchy, but also extremely funny and iconic. There's so many moments from this engraved into my mind. Just like I mentioned in the episode review, the last line is so existentially terrifying. I love the music here, especially with how the ticking of the clock is incorporated into the beat. Easily my favorite song from Don't Hug Me I'm Scared. Finally, that is all of the songs, and also all of the episodes. That was a lot, dude. This video turned out a lot longer than I initially planned for, but I hope you guys liked it. It took quite a bit to make, and I had to edit it in a rush to get it out on the 19th. So I would appreciate it if you guys could do the whole algorithm thing. I'm really tired, so I'll go do photosynthesis or something. Okay everybody, have a nice day.